Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bet99's The Parleh Show. It's Tuesday of a long weekend here in...
Long weekend's over now.
Well, I mean, but it was a long weekend. That's why it's Tuesday, and we're just getting back from the weekend that was.
Great explanation.
Pretty exciting weekend that it was, too, especially if you're a Jays fan and maybe a bit of a fight fan as well, both in baseball and among other things. We'll get into that. Rob Conway, Justin Pooney joining me, my co-host, as always, as well as our other co-host, Matthew Barnaby, in Ottawa. There he is. How you doing, my man?
I'm good. I feel special. I feel like you're coming up here this week and you got a haircut. You look like you're about 6 years old, though.
A little bit too much off the top, if you ask me. I hadn't asked for quite right down to the wood here on the sides. But anyways, you know what's the difference between a good haircut and a bad haircut? 2 weeks, because it grows back. Well, that's for now anyways. Hopefully that continues for me. But Barney, yeah, we're going to be up there in Ottawa for the 36 Open. Should be a lot of fun. I'll be up there on Thursday with the wife, and then everyone joins for Friday and Saturday. And it should be a wild few days, that's for sure.
Yeah, we usually do it at the cottage. You haven't been to that. Well, you've been to the house. The wife hasn't been to the house. But unfortunately, Hydro-Quebec has been 3.5 weeks, almost 4 weeks without power at our cottage. So I can't imagine hosting 20 guys and about 7 women without running water and being able to flush your toilet. Just probably not best case scenario for the debauchery that might go on. So had to make some adjustments on the fly, and we got a new place to run the tournament. So now we're just going to be doing it at the house.
Yeah, it's still an exciting thing for me because I'm from Toronto, so I still get to travel somewhere and get a few days away from my young one who just turned 1. But my question for you is: don't local people also live around your cottage? It's not all cottagers, right? Like, how can you be out of power for 3.5 weeks if you live there?
No, it's not them. It's ours. It actually
just specifically.
Okay. Just us. Beside us is fine. Beside us on the other side is fine.
Okay.
But it actually knocked it down. So we had to have an electrician come in and redo all that. But it's actually specifically our cottage that has to be all rewired, all done from Hydro-Quebec. And they just don't work too quickly. And my one friend from the States is like, why don't you just snap and yell at them? I was like, first of all, do you understand that doesn't work like that in Quebec, especially when you speak English? No, that does not work like that.
Well, we're excited to do it no matter where it is. But Toronto Blue Jays this weekend, Barney, I'm not sure what side you're on the whole weekend, but it's funny. When the Orioles came in, Justin, the Jays were a bit of a fringe AL East team in the sense of trying to win the division. The Orioles came in and said, no, you're not legit. You guys are a wild card team. See you later, 1, 3, or 4. And I felt the Jays had to do the exact same thing to Boston, who was a fringe wild card team that was sneaking up on them, go into Fenway and do some damage, and they did exactly that. And of course, they won last night as well against the Guardians, Justin, but 4 in a row here, starting to look good for the Jays.
Yeah, it is looking good for the Jays. They pretty much took Boston from, 2.5 games now down to 5 games out of the third and final wild card position. They're now, I think, half a game only behind Houston for the second wild card spot. So look, the Toronto Blue Jays did what they had to do. They won 4 straight. The Red Sox had owned them all season long, 0-7 before this series started. Davis Schneider might be the good luck charm the Jays needed. The first ever player in MLB history to have 9 hits and 2 home runs in his first 3 games.
Unbelievable.
That's what if the Jays go on a run now, it'll all be catered back to that moment where the Jays front office will look like geniuses for bringing up Davis Schneider from the minor leagues. And look, the Toronto Blue Jays are rolling right now. They've won 5 straight. They're playing very well, but they know they have to continue to play well. You gotta, you're up against the Guardians. Keep the foot on the gas pedal. You're better than the Guardians. Keep doing what you have to do. Keep on winning ball games.
Yeah, and Barney, this David Schneider, quite the mustache he has as well. He said he has it because he looks like he's 16. So maybe that's something I need to do because you say I look like I'm 6 years old. But I will tell you, when I try and grow a mustache, it just looks like I have a 13-year-old's mustache because that's as thick as I can get. But nonetheless, what do you think this team looks like going forward? They have a tough schedule, all right, for a bit, I'd say about 2-3 more series. Then they have a little bit of a lull where they play the likes of Colorado and Kansas City, etc. Do you like where this team's sitting right now?
First of all, I had a half goatee that was half grown in when I played in the Stanley Cup playoffs because I couldn't do the beard, I couldn't do the mustache, I couldn't do anything. So I'd grow like a little bit of peach fuzz everywhere.
Yeah, I look like Sidney Crosby's mustache is kind of where I'm going, or Mitch Marner, yeah.
Yeah, any of those is kind of what I did with a goatee, and it was just pathetic. But I bought in. I was a team guy.
Yeah,
I looked awful with it. But as for the team, listen, when you look at what this, he's not even a kid. He's played 6 years in the minors. He was a late round pick. Contemplated quitting. For him to come up and do what he's done is unbelievable. And you talk about management looking brilliant. They really didn't have a choice because they weren't having anyone else, especially with Bo Bichette being out of the lineup. Using their bats. So it has been a perfect storm. The team did what they needed to do. They were humbled by a very good Orioles team and then went into Boston and took all four. And that's what they needed to do. I'm not sure they went in saying we have to sweep it, but they were looking at going in 3-1 and to win all four is absolutely awesome. So they are right where they are, where they have to be. They have to keep this going forward. They have to keep the foot on the pedal, especially against Cleveland. Kikuchi's on the mound tonight, and I don't say it's a must win, but you got to keep this thing going. You get a lot of peaks and valleys, and when the team's going good and you're expected to win, these are the ones you got to win.
Definitely. It's been a good little run there for the Jays. We got lots more to talk about, though, coming up after the break. Erik Karlsson's a Penguin. Tom Wilson sticking around with the Caps. And Justin Thomas almost had some theatrics trying to make the playoffs. And Bryson DeChambeau going low on the LIV Tour. How impressive is a 58 on a LIV Tour? It's still pretty damn impressive. I can tell you that for sure. It's Rob, Justin, and Matt on Bet99's The Parleh Show. And we'll see you after this. All right, welcome back to Bet99's The Parleh Show. Rob Conway here. It's been a busy weekend in sports and a long weekend here in Canada, and we have an opportunity here to discuss tons of what's been going on. Justin Pooney right there beside me, as well as Matthew Barnaby in Ottawa. But I wanted to talk a little bit off the top here, but a couple things. Well, one of them was on the field, but it has to do more off the field. And then another one that is just ridiculous considering what happened. And we'll start with the Baltimore Orioles and their announcer, who was suspended reportedly on July 23rd. He made some comments. We have some video of those comments, Barney. I don't know if you've seen it as well, but let's play those, and we'll come back and talk about it.
But the Orioles have a chance to do something special today. They've already clinched at least a split in the series, winning 2 of the first 3, and they could pick up a series win behind Tyler Wells today. It's been a minute. The Orioles split a 2-gamer with the Rays in June. They had lost their last 15 series here at Tropicana Field. You have to go back to when our now colleague Brad Brock picked up the win in the series finale, June 25th, 2017, the last time the Orioles won a series here at St. Pete. Already got 3-2 at the Trop this year after winning 3 of 18 the previous 3 years combined. It is a stark difference, Ben, and it is not a bad Rays team. It's not like all of a sudden the Rays became slouches in the American League East. They've led this division every day, but now 2, and the Orioles once again are back alone in first place.
All right, so the controversial comments that you just heard. I had to watch that a couple times, Barney, before I realized that the comments that were controversial were mere facts that the team was terrible, and specifically terrible in Tampa Bay. Now listen, Masson is owned partially by the Orioles, so I guess technically this gentleman...
They have a majority. The Orioles have a majority stake in Masson.
Yeah, so technically this part of his job is an employee of the team. But I believe if you listen to what he's trying to say, he's trying to be positive, saying, look how much better this team is. And quite frankly, of all these great players, Rutschman, and you have Jackson Hawley coming up, Grayson Rodriguez, because of how bad you were over those years. And I mean, for a team to go and suspend a guy for doing that is just outrageous, if you ask me.
I used to work for ESPN. I worked there for about 4 years, and everyone in Buffalo would be like, why don't you come back and work for the Buffalo Sabres and be on TV and do it? Like, this is exactly why I would never, ever, ever work for a team. It's ludicrous. All he is spitting facts, and these are notes. You guys know when you get to a game, there's notes that are handed to you by the media that's set forth from the team with stats over the years, and this guy's done this, and the team's done that, and this pitcher, whatever it may be. all he was saying was that hey man, we're turning a corner. We're playing really well. But this is about working for a team, and anything you say controversial. This isn't even controversial. Like I can't imagine. I'd last a day because I would be like, this guy sucks. This team is terrible. Whatever it may be. Hold the goalie. Get rid of him. The GM should go. I would last 2 minutes working for a team. So I don't think it's controversial. I just think it's absolutely brutal. And I pat myself on the back every day, not having worked for a team and not going to the other side. And most of those guys are like pigeons. When you think of like Jack Edwards and listening to home broadcasts, it's just blah, blah, blah. It's all what the team wants to say instead of the truth, the facts.
Yeah. And that's the way it's going to go now. If you look about it, like all these teams now are going to start finding ways to have their own broadcast, have complete control. We're already seeing teams in the NHL now hiring their own reporters to put out what they want to put out, right? It's their if they're fronting the bill, if they're paying for the players, paying for everything else, they're going to put out the message they want to put out. And that's what happened. But this isn't the first time the Orioles have done this. Back in 2021, they suspended their PA announcer on the day of the home opener because he put out tweets that were not, so positive towards the Baltimore Orioles, right? But like you mentioned it, Rob, this team was in the dumps for how many years, and now they're leading the American League East. That's a good story to tell. If anything, what he was saying is saying how far the Orioles have come.
I know, right? It's crazy, this.
He's explaining how far this team was in the dumpster of the American League, one of the worst teams in baseball, and now they're one of the best teams in baseball.
Yeah.
Right? It's crazy how sensitive teams are now to what's out there, and then they lose the realization, the fact that, this is actually something that's a positive for us because we're a much better team now. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not like he was like, don't get your hopes up, guys, because I've seen this team before and they stink. But, I mean, the Jays have had a terrible time in Tampa Bay. And if you listen to those broadcasts who happen to also own the team, they're like, hey, this has been a house of horrors at the Trop for the Jays. Even when the Rays were bad, the Jays always seem to lose. And, it's just crazy to me. Just wanted to bring that up because, it's just, I get it. You want to control the narrative a bit.
A bit. They're controlling the whole thing.
No, I know. But, even if you want to control the narrative, you don't go and suspend a guy. I'm glad everyone's kind of standing up for this guy and saying, look, this is unacceptable.
They're going to bring the Orioles. I heard Jack Edwards is going to go in and do the broadcast.
Yeah,
now.
that's right.
Yeah.
Jack Edwards.
Yeah.
All right. Now I want to talk a little bit about Tim Anderson and Jose Ramirez with their little brouhaha, Barney, that they had. Now, first of all, it was an overhand right from Jose Ramirez. As an experienced fighter, what did you think of the technique between these two guys? Despite the fact that Ramirez landed, I think he was staring at his toes when he threw it. What did you if you were to break down the fight, what did you think?
It's funny. I was actually out with a couple of the boys when I saw it, and then they started pulling up YouTube, where I'm letting guys 260 pounds just punch me in the face and I'm laughing at the bench. I'm like, a little different than a baseball fight. At least we saw some punches this time.
Yeah.
But not great form, no balance. You usually throw from your legs and your ass, not the way. But he tagged him. He got him good. I don't think he was prepared, and obviously not a strong chin. So I want to fight Avery, but I'm not gonna lie. I'll take either of those guys on for any amount of money that we want to step into the ring. But hey, at least they went at it. But six games to get tattooed right on the chin. That's a tough one.
Yeah, I feel bad for Tim Anderson. The guy's got one home run. He's got a negative WAR this season. I think he's had some problems off the field too with his his extracurricular stuff as well. And then to get, like Barney mentioned, get tagged after you squared up first.
I know.
He squared up first. He's the one who threw his glove down and squared up like he was ready to go, and then to get knocked out by Jose Ramirez right there. And then I don't know if you guys saw him on Twitter. He's just going off on like some random Twitter rampage.
Yeah, something about, I know I got tagged. I'll see him later though.
Yeah, I don't know what Tim Anderson's trying to do, man. Just sit down, figure out your batting, figure out your bat, try to get back at that. Don't worry about fighting Jose Ramirez again because like Nate Diaz and Jake Paul, I don't want to see this fight ever again.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it. Look, you got knocked out. Just focus on baseball now.
He should have done what Diaz did, which is try and get a guillotine or or shoot for the leg or something like that. Because the squaring up didn't work for Tim Anderson. That's for sure. We got 2 minutes here, Barney. Real quick, Trey Turner. I wanted to thank the fans for the support. Now this was just like a Twitter kind of social media thing. They decided he's having a bad year. We got him for like another decade. Let's try and boost this guy up. Have you ever had this type of positive response from fans, Barney, despite playing badly? Because I remember in Toronto, one Larry Murphy, who I think you've played with, he had a similar bad start to his career and was booed right out of town.
Larry Murphy was booed out of every place he was played. And isn't he a Hall of Famer?
Yes, he's an unbelievable player. Yeah,
literally. Dave Andrechuk's the same way. Just booed, and he's a Hall of Famer. And then they both go on and end up winning Stanley Cups. No, I've never seen anything like this. He's had a horrible year, 11 years, $300 million. They really got behind him, and that's not like Philadelphia. I mean, they are the epitome of booing people that are usually playing well, just not great. But for them to boo him while he's signing that much money, hey, this is a great PR move for him to have them on his side. He has the money to be able to do it. And now he will be forever loved, even if he does play poorly. So, great job. Great marketing move by Trey Turner.
Phillies are in a playoff spot. Their fans are not going to be that much on edge right now. If they were losing a bunch of games, that might be a lot worse. And look, they got the best team in the NFC right now in the Eagles. Football starting on the corner too. So look, I think Philly fans they're okay right now because things are going well in the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah, I agree. We gotta go to break here, but yeah, no, it was a great story there for Trey Turner. But I think you're right. If things were going a little bit more south for this team, they probably would not be celebrating him as much. And I know, Barney, you've been booed a few times in Philadelphia during your time with Pittsburgh. All right, Erik Karlsson. Speaking of which, he's headed there. Kyle Dubas, former GM here in Toronto, making a big splash, and Tom Wilson has signed with the Capitals. We'll talk about that after this. All right, welcome back to Bet99's The Parleh Show. Rob Conway here alongside Justin Pooney and Matthew Barnaby in Ottawa. And it's beginning of August, but we can talk NHL, right? Mm-hmm. Some big news over the weekend.
Massive.
Erik Karlsson heading to Pittsburgh via a 3-team trade. Montreal gets a second-round pick in there to pick up some salary dump. And was a first-round pick, to San Jose. I was forgetting where I was going there with that. And I was surprised. We were just chatting, Justin and I off camera, but we were talking about how $10 million still being retained, though, from Pittsburgh. I would have thought Montreal would have jumped in there, not just to get maybe salary from players, but also salary for the $10 million. But I'm going through this list of players, Barney, and Pittsburgh. Look, you're Kyle Dubas. You decide you're going to be the general manager. That must be nice. Yeah, I'll just give myself the job. And also, you're trying to make a big splash. Welcome to the city. Here you go, Norris Trophy winner. But their average age up front is 31.3 years. And the only player under the age of 30 that you really know if you're a casual player is Jake Gensel. He's 28. He's on LTIR right now, but he, of course, will be expected to play. But, I mean, we're talking about an old team, 36, 37, 31, 30, 32, 38, 34, 31. Adding another old player, I know that this window's closing, but did you like this move for them to add a player like this at that amount of money, for that amount of term, for a team that probably has a year or two left?
No, I mean, they're a better team today than they were yesterday or before they made the trade. Yeah, but no, not that term. Listen, he came off a historic season with what he did in San Jose. They still did not make the playoffs. So you look at, I guarantee the conversations when Kyle Dubas took over, not only as president, but also as GM, where our window is closing and we are going to give ourselves the best chance to win a Stanley Cup, because then it's going to be probably 5 years of a rebuild. So, you have the Malkin, Crosby, they are aging, but the window for them, at least in their eyes, is that we have to try to do anything we can. They bring in Ryan Graves, who's a very good D-man. You have Letang, who's a poor man's Erik Karlsson, but neither of those guys really defend all that well. So they're a better team. Are they a Stanley Cup contender? Absolutely not. And now they're on the hook for a guy that has been prevalent to injuries in the past, but coming off a great year. Just a lot of term and a lot of money that I don't think makes them significantly better or a cup contender.
Yeah, this team is trying to squeeze every last ounce
sure.
they have out of Letang, Malkin, and Crosby. But Crosby's got 2 years left on his deal. Malkin's got 3. I think Letang's got another, I think he's signed longer than Erik Karlsson, at over $6 million now. So
yeah, he's there till 27, 28.
2028, right? Which is a long time for a guy who's 36 years old. Barney mentioned Ryan Graves. When I look at the Pittsburgh Penguins, this is a 2-year window. I think they have a 2-year window, a 2-year opportunity to try to squeeze one last kick at the can. But when they got Rickard Rakell, they have Brian Rust, they acquired Riley Smith from Vegas. But you still got Jeff Carter. When you're relying on a 38-year-old Jeff Carter, that to me is not a recipe for success. Yes, Crosby had a great year last year. He's 36 years old. Malkin, he's still, injury prone, yes, but he can still, show up on the best of days. But the East is loaded, man. That Metro Division is loaded. New Jersey's not going anywhere. The Rangers aren't going to go anywhere. The Islanders will surely be better next season. Detroit, Toronto, Ottawa will hopefully get it back together. The Leafs, Buffalo. There's a whole lot of teams in the Eastern Conference, and it's not going to be easy. The Pittsburgh Penguins are a side that I believe they have the experience, they have the coach, they have it. But it's just, to me, it's like there's too many other good teams and too many younger teams that can take advantage of the Pittsburgh Penguins. I do think they're a playoff team, but again, I think they're a 1 round, maybe 2 rounds if they're lucky.
I don't even think they're a playoff team, Barney. I mean, it's you have it. What you said, it's a stacked division. Plus, you got 2. There's a good chance that a couple of wild card spots could come out of the Atlantic. How good that, with the teams like Buffalo and Ottawa moving up, playing better. You always got to decide who's coming out. Pittsburgh, the way that they look down the stretch, I mean, just losing games they shouldn't have, and Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin unable to inspire that group in a way to get the job done late was a surprise.
Yeah, we haven't talked about New Jersey, the Rangers.
Yeah.
Is Pittsburgh goaltending good enough? I have Ottawa making it. Boston's going to take a step back, obviously.
Yeah.
They did their best. They made their last push the last couple of years, but with guys that were taking minimal contracts. When you look at Krejci and Bergeron, they were taking pennies on the dollar to give themselves a chance. Not these guys. I mean, Sidney Crosby's on a friendly contract. So is Letang. But older guys, and then you put all that together with their age, just very, very tough. And I don't believe in the goaltending, so I don't have them as a playoff team. But I do understand it from the organizational standpoint. Is you have one of the best players to ever play in your organization in Crosby and Malkin and Letang. It's hard to go backwards and say we're not going all in. Probably Karlsson wouldn't have been the guy. Maybe would have made them a little bit tougher, because we saw once it got to the finals how tough that series was between Vegas and Florida, how much they just punished each other. I don't know if they have that element through and through the lineup.
Yeah, I think, like Barney mentioned earlier, they had a guy who kind of does what Erik Karlsson does, right? Now, like you mentioned, he's a poor man's version of, Erik Karlsson, but the Penguins, I feel, need to be tougher, like we mentioned, tougher and more grittier on their back end. They need to have those guys, like a Radko Gudas, a guy who can be there in the trenches, can move guys out of the front of the net, can get in the corners and win those puck battles there, can strike fear in opposing teams' forwards by laying out big checks. That matters in the playoffs, right? As much people want to say that this is a fast-paced game and the skill is taking over, when the pressure is on in the playoffs, the teams that are built to win are the teams that have those guys that are not afraid to go to those dirty areas. And Letang and Karlsson are injury prone, and they're also guys that are not going to be those type of guys to clear out the net front, are going to be guys to be in the corners mucking it up. They're the guys that are going to be scoring points and trying to move the puck and play that fast-paced game. And I think in the playoffs, when that happens, especially at their advanced stage, it's going to be tough to win.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh fans... Sorry, go ahead, Barney. Go ahead.
They're missing a Brooks Orpik who was very big for them when they won Stanley Cups. Very big, underrated. Everyone, we talked about all the other guys, but all the Radko Gudas is, like you said, all those guys that play into it make it really hard for opposing teams, because the game completely changes from regular season to playoffs, like any other sport. It goes back to a little bit of old school hockey.
All I gotta say is, Penguins fans, if you want to know what your future looks like, you can look at the Chicago Blackhawks, because that's where you're headed. And unfortunately, a generational talent just came along, and who knows if there's another Connor Bedard waiting for you, because that's where you're going to be in 2 to 3 seasons, I would imagine. But despite that, you've got a bunch of cups. You had one of the greatest players of their generation, Sidney Crosby. Certainly enjoy it, and I'm sure the Blackhawks fans would trade whatever they've gone through over the last few years for the cups that they won. Tom Wilson, Barney, speaking of guys you might want to have around in the playoffs, sticking around with Washington. Surprised by this? I was, just because of where I thought the Capitals were, and I think they could have maybe figured out a way to get some more stuff for Tom Wilson, because I don't know if they're a playoff team right now.
I don't know if they're a playoff team either, but who doesn't want Tom Wilson on the team?
I know, right?
Like, at any point, you could flip Tom Wilson and that contract to someone else and really start your rebuild. You know, that's how it is. This is all about Ovechkin scoring and getting the goal scoring record, if you're a Washington Capitals fan. But Tom Wilson, for all those non-Capital fans that think he's a goon and a horrible player and this and that, listen, there's only one Tom Wilson in the NHL today. And every team, if you're on a Stanley Cup in your sights, you want a guy like Tom Wilson, because not only can he play top line minutes, not only can he play power play, he can be an absolute destroyer and cause fear in an era that there isn't much fear. Tom Wilson is the best by far at what he does. So I have no problem with him resigning, because at any time you could flip him to a cup contender and get back a lot of assets.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a guy, like you mentioned, the Capitals' main objective right now is to get Alex Ovechkin to break the all-time goal-scoring record. They won their Stanley Cup. They validated themselves. They won the Cup. Ovechkin got that monkey off his back. Now the whole main goal of the Washington Capitals organization is to make sure he breaks the record, right? And then once he retires, Tom Wilson's probably next in line to be the captain of the Washington Capitals for all the things that Barney mentioned.
Yeah.
That he's the only guy in the NHL who's built like that, who can play that style of game and to walk that final. Yes, Matthew Tkachuk, but Tom Wilson's tougher than Matthew Tkachuk. Tom Wilson is bigger, is stronger, imposes way more fear than Matthew Tkachuk. That's it. He's a guy that the Washington Capitals did not want to lose. And for $6.5 million, yes, they had to give him more term, right? But for a guy like that who's been with this organization for a very long time, it made the most sense for him to stay in Washington.
Yeah, definitely did. We got 90 seconds here. A lot of shows, you like to do winners from the weekend. Who had the best weekend? Best weekend? Matt Dumba. $3.9 million to live in Scottsdale. That is a pretty sweet deal, Barty.
Yeah, that's awesome. Again, I don't think there's a show that we don't bring up Arizona. I don't care who's what. Just sign in Arizona. They suck. They play in a 5,000-seat arena in Mullet Arena, but there's no better place in North America. So good job on Matt Dumba.
Yeah.
Good job, buddy.
Big weekend. Happy for him.
Dumba gets dealt at the deadline, I think. I think if he plays well, he gets dealt to a contender at the deadline and then tries to repair some money lost or some term lost after this year and sign with a big ticket next season, I think. Yeah,
no, it's definitely what you got to think. They need to get to the floor. They need to add a couple contracts here and there, and I think there's a good chance that this could work out for both of them. Like you said, they're going to get something if he has a good season. Plus, if he has he's going to get lots of ice time. He's going to be one of their best players. Maybe he can have a renaissance, if you will, and then be able to get a little bit longer term at a team with a little bit more a competitive spirit over the next couple of years that could use a guy like Matt Dumba. But a guy who almost was a big winner from the weekend, that would have been Justin Thomas. He had a fantastic weekend in trying to get his name back into the Ryder Cup and a memorable moment trying to get into the playoffs, and we'll talk about that along with Bryson DeChambeau and maybe a little FedEx Cup preview after this. This is Rob, Justin, and Matt, and this is the Bet99 Parleh Show. We'll see you after this. All right, this is Bet99's The Parleh Show. Rob Conway, Justin Pooney, and Matthew Barnaby with you for one more block. And then we have the Parleh to wrap the show.
The best part of the show.
I know. We have that to wrap the show. Now, in the break there, Barney, Justin tried to convince me to talk about SummerSlam for the next 14 minutes. And if you probably don't even know what that is, but it's WWE. And I know you're a big fan.
No, I don't get it. I don't understand. I've said this before. Anyone over 13 years old watching wrestling, Yeah, no, the only SummerSlam is going to be this week. We're going to be slamming for sure.
That's true. That's true. But it is considered one of the WWE majors, SummerSlam, for sure.
They have majors?
Well, I mean, like back in the
I'm a
day.
big wrestling fan. How do they ever call it the majors?
Yeah, like the WrestleMania, Royal Rumble.
Maybe it's an elevated
It's an elevated event.
An
And that's
elevated
going to be our
event.
segue into.
Elevated event. Yeah,
That's our segue.
We charge 3 times the amount for something that's predicted.
Yeah.
Already predetermined. Yes,
It's the
I love
drama of the storytelling. Anyways.
How about when they wanted to say, like, they wanted to start betting on this stuff?
They did. They still do. I don't know how that's
You
possible.
can, yes, I believe.
Like, you can occasionally, but like Vince McMahon or whoever is the owner now, they wanted to get like into bed with like, betting companies. And I don't see how you can do that if it's already known. I mean, people bet on the Oscars and stuff, and I guess technically that's known too, but I don't see how that's going to work. I think
you probably have to put like a cap on how much you can bet, so you can't put like a stack down on like who's going to win the WWE Championship.
It's weird to be able to know the outcomes and be able to put the money down. But let's get into the FedEx Cup. Let's get into what Justin Thomas did this weekend. And let's get into whether or not he should be in the Ryder Cup, because we've had this discussion on this show before, myself and Albert, who is on vacation still in Mexico. I think he's staying down in Mexico because he doesn't want to debate me about Justin Thomas and whether or not he should be in the Ryder Cup. Because what he did over the weekend was, I think, solidify his spot in Rome. He needed a big run. I thought it was, I guess look, the numbers change. It was supposed to be 18th or better and he'd get in, and then they ended up being, I think, 11th or 10th, and he didn't get in. But nonetheless, missed out by one spot. Big performance on 18, though. He hit it into the pine straw at a great little hook around the tree. Almost chips in for birdie to get in. But did show his game is together, Barney. What were your thoughts on that? I will be honest with you. I didn't watch Lucas Glover win. No offense to Lucas Glover. Did not watch the end of that tournament, but I was paying attention when they were showing Justin Thomas try and get into the FedEx Cup playoffs.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and I like JT. He's just been bad. I mean, he's 20 events. He's got 3 top 10s. He can't drive the ball. I think he's 140th in driving. Greens in regulation, 129th. 75 to 100 yards, 104th. And proximity to the hole, 136. So all those things, it's just been a bad year. And at least there was some drama. I would have loved to see him get in, because I can't even imagine. I'm not a great golfer. And I get frustrated when I don't play well or when things don't go well. When you're that good and you can't do anything well, how must it play with your mind? Because the only person that can fix it is yourself. And You're out there with your thoughts and your mind. So it would have been great. Would have been awesome if he would have got in. Unfortunately for him, the whole year has just been tragedy.
I'm with you, Rob, on the fact that kind of yesterday, playing under that pressure, like you said, like the line was moving so much on whether he's going to be in the FedEx Cup playoffs to St. Jude's or he's not. But to see what he did on 18th, Barney mentioned his driving's been horrible. He drove it in the pine straws, right? Yeah. But he recovered, almost chipped in. He fell, right? It was
dramatic.
He played well under pressure.
Yeah.
Right? He did. And what's the Ryder Cup known for? Playing well under pressure, right? Playing in a hostile environment. And I think, like we've talked about before, he's boys with all the captains and stuff like that. So he'll probably get in. It's going to be controversial because he's going to be taking away the spot from somebody who probably does deserve it, because like we mentioned, he's missed 5 of 8 cuts since the PGA, right? This is supposed to be one of the best players in the world, and he can't even make cuts. Right?
Yeah.
So that's something that's a cause for concern. Can this be, his season's over now, and now he's going to have about 6 weeks off till the Ryder Cup potentially, right? What's he going to do in that 6 weeks, right? If he does get selected. If I was him, I would have loved to have got him to continue to play and see if he can continue this momentum, but he can't. And now it's out of his control. But he did do a strong showing Sunday. I mean,
it's such a different game. Match play, first of all.
Yeah.
Also, you're not just playing match play until the Sunday. You're playing, with a partner. You're playing alternate shot sometimes. Your only job is to execute as many amazing golf shots as possible, and the rest of the time it doesn't matter. And what I mean by that is you don't need to be consistent. You don't make an 8. You don't make a 7. You just pick it up. And if especially if you have a partner, you don't even have some holes, whatever. Your partner picks you up for you. So I think he's got the mindset and the ability to play under those conditions, and he showed on 18 as well throughout the weekend that when needed he can execute golf shots, and that's all you need to do when you're playing in match play. You don't need to grind and grind and grind. It's just a matter of executing in the moment when you are playing with a partner in the Ryder Cup. And he's going to go out there with whoever he ends up playing with, whether it's Schauffele, Cantlay, whoever, Jordan Spieth, of course, the partner he plays a lot with, and he's going to be comfortable, they're going to have fun, and he's going to execute, and I would be shocked if he wasn't on the team.
I think he gets in. I think they pick him. I really do, but I wouldn't pick him.
That's insane to me, Barney. You know this more from a golfing perspective. You know how this works. This is not... It doesn't matter. Look at Hunter Mahan. He's sculled one across the green, and he hasn't been able to play since. It's a different type of game. It's not about whether or not you can shoot 65 4 times in a row.
No, it isn't. But you also have to be able to put the ball in the fairway so your partner can knock it close. You also have to be able to knock balls close so you can make birdies, because you need birdies. Pars don't win in alternate shot, or you have to have confidence. And I just don't see it. And with the layoff going to be there, it gives him time to work on his game. I think he's there. I think he's there because he's been there before. Everyone loves him. But it's going to be controversial either way. I'm taking the guys that are playing well. I'm taking the guys that have deserved it all year and playing the best that I have confidence in. But having said that, there is something about experience, being there before, as opposed to taking a rookie that's never played in a Ryder Cup, because the pressure is 1,000 times more than on a regular week on the PGA Tour. It's up there in the Masters when you're on the back nine, except for this is on the first day because you're playing within a team and you're playing for your country. But I do think he's there. I just wouldn't take him.
How many captain's picks are there?
6.
Okay, so if you look, you got Homa, Cam Young, Spieth, Keegan Bradley, Morikawa, Sam Burns, right? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ricky Fowler. Those are the 6 players ahead of Justin Thomas.
Sam Burns isn't on the team compared to Justin Thomas. That's done. It's already over.
So but are you taking Ricky Fowler? Are you taking Ricky Fowler if it's Ricky Fowler or JT?
I would take Ricky Fowler because I think they're both the same. Because they're in the sense of their team camaraderie, everybody loves them, they want them there. But I would take. What were the other ones? Sorry, say that one more time. So Sam Burns is already. No offense, Sam Burns, great player. I'd be taking JT over him.
So you got number 7 is Homa, Cam Young, Jordan Spieth,
Cam Young as well,
Keegan Bradley, Morikawa,
Keegan Bradley gone.
Sam Burns, Ricky Fowler. Those are the next.
This is
6.
an easier decision than I thought it was, Justin. Thank you for bringing that up because I
said he's going to be there. I just wouldn't take him.
No, I understand where you're coming from, Barney. You got to be playing well but if Tiger Woods was playing, he's on the team, right? Not like if he's playing okay, like if it's 2020, if they had the Ryder Cup, he would have made the team, even though he had only won the Masters. But he would have been on the team because it's Tiger Woods, and you know that he can perform when it's necessary and everyone's comfortable with him.
Yeah, but that's Tiger Woods though.
And further to your point, JT's in the lineup. He's not playing every match.
Yeah, exactly, too, right? You can bury him a little bit, and he's going to be there in the locker room, and if they need a speech, he can give one. And also, speaking of Tiger Woods, he's his best friend.
Yeah, that's a good best friend to have.
That could bring Tiger out to Rome. I don't know if Tiger's going or not, but he might if his buddy's going. Especially if Charlie loves JT. Maybe Charlie wants to go watch him.
I assume Tiger. Yeah. Doesn't Tiger have like a role with Team USA?
Well, he was the president. He was the team captain at the President's Cup.
Yeah.
And he will be a Ryder Cup captain 100% probably in the next 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But technically, who's the captain right now? Zach Johnson. He would be an assistant captain if he wanted to. It'd be more whether or not he's healthy enough to come. That's all. But old Tiger wouldn't be there. But new Tiger would be. Right, Barney?
I said JT's going to be there. I just wouldn't take him.
Well, that's why you're not the captain on the Ryder Cup team.
No, right? But this does look like the President's Cup. Maybe I'm going to get the captain for the President's Cup.
That does look like, and more importantly, we said Justin Thomas has 6 weeks off. Well, he could have 5 weeks off because he could come out to the 36 Open this week in Ottawa. And I was drafted number 1 overall when we did it last time that I was there. I would not be drafted number 1 overall if Justin Thomas was there.
Well, you didn't go number 1 overall this year, so I don't want to bust your.
I didn't. You already did the draft.
But you are on Team Blue.
Nice.
And I am on Team Pink.
Again? We're not on the same team again. All right.
Nope. No, Lindsay went number 1 overall this year, and Rob went I think you went number 2.
Wow.
Devastating. Devastating.
Yeah. After all that talk, you talk about your game, how good it is. You couldn't even.
Well, I didn't do the draft. I thought it was Connor Bedard, but apparently not.
Really not.
Apparently not.
Lindsay's
Adam
a 7
Fantilli.
handicap, and she can play from the Reds.
That's true. I did play against her the year I played, and we tied because she got strokes and was 20 yards up on me all day, and she's a good golfer.
Yeah.
Most importantly, she's a good golfer.
Yes.
But also, she does get the benefit of a couple strokes, which is only everyone does. That's nothing to do with anything. It has to do with how good she is as a golfer. I'm slightly better than her, but she does get to play from the red tees, the forward tees, and I think she should play at the same tees as me.
No,
she hits a
she's
great
on
ball.
my team. If she was on the other team, she would. But she's on my team. So
Wait a minute. Are you saying you drafted her first?
I was not a captain. Bruno and Munch are captain.
Oh, okay. That's right. All right, never mind. All right. I'll let it slide. Bryson DeChambeau, 58,
Yes.
in the Live Tour, or on the Live Tour, at the Greenbrier Classic.
No, it's Liv Greenbrier.
Sorry, the Live Greenbrier. That's right. That's correct. This is not a PGA Tour event. But 58 is 58.
Yeah.
Okay? You got to make the chips. You got to make the putts. If he came out and played with us, we're joking here at the Ottawa 36 Open, he probably wouldn't shoot 58 because it's just you got to make a lot of putts to do that. And for him to have done that was amazing. To birdie the last 2 holes, that 30-footer, Barney. I didn't watch it. I watched the end. I watched the Twitter and everything. But pretty good. Pretty good round of golf when it comes to Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah, 58. And I was listening to his comments. He said, you know what, the big thing, like, he says for any good young golfer,
Yes.
he says go to the red tees and just play the red tees. And when you get to like 8 under, like you want to shoot under 60 every time when you play from the red tees if you're a good golfer as you get older. But it teaches you the mentality to not stop at 8 and 9. And I got a birdie 10 and try to get it as low as you can. So 58 is absolutely ridiculous. I can guarantee with all our handicaps, I don't care if you're a 4 or a 15 or whatever it is, when you add them in, we're going to have someone in 67 or 68 with our adjusted handicaps, let alone 58. So listen, I'm trying to like the guy, not working, but 58, kudos.
Yeah, and it's a great point that he makes. Tell that to our junior golfers as well. Being a player like that and making birdies is a mindset. It doesn't matter, and this goes for everybody. If you play the forward tees, it doesn't matter whether the hole is 350 yards or 380 yards is really not going to make a difference. Mm-hmm. You have to hit it close. You have to make a lot of putts, and that is a good way to go about it. And that's what he did. And we just showed a clip there of him and Phil. They had a little bit of fun content with regards to gambling, and maybe we'll get into that on the other side of the break when they were talking about that. Before we get into the parlay. But also St. Jude, top 10 favorites. We'll get that up on the board real quickly here. But actually, you know what? We'll save it for the other side of the break as well. We're up against the clock here, Justin. But what would you do? You taking Justin Thomas in the Ryder Cup?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. A passionate plea by Justin Pooney when it comes to Justin Thomas. All right. Coming up on the other side of the break, the Parlay. We'll be back.
So,
what are we playing for?
what are we playing for? I haven't thought about that.
What do you mean you haven't thought about it?
Well,
What were you thinking about? Okay, well, Cameron and I will play, you guys. You and Honor Bond. We'll play 9 holes for a G.
perfect.
Straight best ball.
Perfect.
And when you're closed out, you can press for half.
Not the full?
Not the full.
Okay.
So you got to win the match to win. Yeah, and if you want, what we'll do is we'll go 28. If you shoot 28 best ball, it's double.
Perfect. I love that.
Okay.
That sounds
or
good.
Or better, 28 or better.
He's played in a lot more of these sorts of things, so he knows how to make a deal that works in his favor.
You know, I actually max it at that. I don't ever play for more because I always want to keep it friendly.
That's right.
Just so you know, Camo and I, we don't do Venmo, PayPal, any of that bullshit. Like
straight cash.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Just so we're clear.
Right, Barney? The biggest, most matches are won on the first tee, right?
90% of matches are won on the first tee, man. Bring your handicap. Don't be a Hollywood.
You don't need a vanity handicap. That'll kill you every single time. But I just love how it feels like we're playing here. What were you thinking about? This is the only thing that matters is the terms. Are you working on your swing?
Yeah. And don't bring me that Venmo stuff. Cash is king. I'm setting up the foursomes now, and Rob Conway will be playing against Matthew Barnaby in that.
Oh, no.
And, yeah, handicaps matter, man. You're a 1 and I'm a 20.
We might have to bring Stevie Z up with us to film that.
I need to see that. I need to see that. Yeah.
All right.
I need to have like a in-depth.
We'll have some footage for sure.
Yeah. All right. Parleh. Justin and I have our picks in, but we'll start with you, Barney, so give me some time to add it so I can get the odds up by the end. Go ahead.
Kikuchi and the Jays. Let's go. It's been a great month for baseball. I've been very, very fortuitous in the way some of these things have played out. So Kikuchi pitching, love the bats where they're at. Let's go. The Guardians are going down.
All right, like it. The Jays.
I'm going the Cubs to win. Cubs money line. I think it's my minus
135.
135. I'm gonna go with Jameson Tyone. Cubs are the hottest team in baseball since the All-Star break. Cubs win.
All right, sounds good. I am going with the San Diego Padres at the Seattle Mariners. The Padres are plus 100. They had a tough series against the Dodgers, but I think they're the better team here. They are trying to make one last push, and man, is that lineup pretty good, up and down lineup. All right, for Matthew Barnaby in Ottawa and Justin Pooney sitting beside me, I'm Rob Conway in Toronto. Been a fantastic time. We will see you tomorrow right here on Bet 99's The Parleh Show.